Hello class, this video is intended to help you learn how to read a z-table to find a p-value. So we have three different p-values that we'd like to find from particular test statistics. One, the lower one-sided p-value for a z-test statistic of negative 1.75. Okay. The upper one-sided p-value for a z-test statistic of 1.96, and the third one, the two-sided p-value for a z-test statistic of negative 3.63. So there are a couple other ways that we can find these p-values other than using a table. You can either use a TI-84 calculator, or I believe a TI-89 will do it. Also, obviously, using any sort of statistical software package will find the exact p-value for you really quickly. However, we might not use that on particular tests, and you might not always have that available to you. So it's a good tool to be able to read a z-table. Okay, so let's first find the lower one-sided p-value for a z-test statistic of negative 1.75. So I've calculated this test statistic from a z statistical test, hypothesis test. Now to find the p-value, I simply scroll down this z column, keep going, until I find the first kind of stem of my z-test statistic. I see that this is negative 1.7. Now I need to scroll over until I find the 0.05. Now I need to scroll back up and make sure I'm in the right column. So this is 0.05, and I need to then match up my negative 1.7 to the 0.05. So this number right here represents my p-value. So 0.04006 is the one-sided, the lower one-sided p-value for a negative 1.75 test statistic. Now, if we had a significance level of 0.05, then we would be able to reject the null hypothesis. Otherwise, saying that this would be moderately suggestive evidence in favor of the alternative hypothesis. Okay, so let's move on to the next test statistic. So we want to find the upper one-sided p-value for a z-test statistic of 1.96. Okay, so again, we go through the same format. We scroll down the z column until we find the positive 1.9. There it is, down here at the bottom, 1.9. And then we scroll across until we find 0.06. Okay, so this is the number that we need here. So 0.97500. Okay, so is this the p-value for the upper one-sided p-value? Actually, no. It's going to have to be 1 minus 0.975 to be our p-value, because we're looking at the upper half. We want to know the amount that's more extreme. And so if we have an alternative hypothesis that is saying, is the thing greater than a certain number or our claim, then we need to do an upper one-sided p-value. Unfortunately, the z-table only gives us values that are to the left of the z-score. So we simply just need to subtract 1.975 from 1. Do it over here. So 1 minus 0.9750 is equal then to 0.025. And that would be our final p-value. So 0.025 would then be the upper one-sided p-value for a z-test statistic of 1.96. Okay, so let's go find our last p-value for the test statistic. We'll scroll back up. The two-sided p-value for a z-test statistic of negative 3.63. Okay, so the same method that we did before to find our p-value, we're going to use it here too, except there's one extra step. Okay, so we look at negative 3.63, find negative 3.6 first, scroll over until we find 3, and we find that the area below our test statistic is 0.0014. Okay, so to find a two-sided p-value, we want to always find the area in which is more extreme than our test statistic, and then multiply it by 2. So we take 0.0014 and multiply it by 2. So p-value equal to 2 times 0.0014 is equal to what? Ooh, one more 0. Simply 0.00028. So being able to find the p-value from a two-sided test is as simple as finding the one-sided p-value and multiplying it by 2. Hopefully this video is helpful in having you find p-values from a z-table.